Okay, what is a verb? Well, a verb is one of the parts of speech. It's one of the word classes. And if you just go by the number of different words, it's the second largest word class, nouns being the largest. And it's arguably the most important because uh, every sentence has to have a verb. Everything else is more or less optional, but you have to have a verb. If it doesn't have if it doesn't have a verb, it's not a sentence. So let's come up with a definition. A verb is a word that shows action or state. Okay, and let's start with the easy one first. Action. Okay, and this is also, if you look at all the verbs, how many different verbs there are. There are more action verbs than anything else. Okay, and some of these are very obvious. Run, climb, drive, protect. Okay, you can all see pictures in your mind of things happening. But there are also words like own or have. And you say have, there's not a lot of action there. Well, if you look at the definition of have, it says to hold in one's possession. Okay, so yes, there's a sense of action in that you're hanging on to whatever it is. I have a dog. Well, you've got this dog. You're hanging on to this dog. You're holding this dog. I have a girlfriend. You're hanging on or holding this girlfriend. Okay, so again, but it is an action, and we'll show there are actually tests you can do to determine whether something is a verb of action or a verb of state. So now let's look at some verbs of state. Now, there aren't as many of them. There aren't as many of them, but some of them are very, very important. And the first one I'm going to put up here is the most common verb if you count the number of times it shows up in sentences. And that's is. And is kind of a verbal equal sign. I mean, and it is not a um, coincidence that we say in math or in arithmetic, we say 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay? What we're saying is that 2 plus 2 and 4 are the same thing. Okay? So if we look at our definition, a verb is a word that shows action or state. And so we're saying that a verb is the same thing as a word that shows action or state. Okay, and we actually give a special name to is and words like is, and they actually have some of their own rules that are different than action verbs. Okay, but seems, becomes, these are also words like that. And then we have other words like can, will, and must. Okay, generally not used by themselves. Okay, except in kind of unusual circumstances. Okay, but these words show us look at the three of them and we'll kind of get an idea. So, and we'll talk more about these later because these also there's a whole different set of rules for how these are used. Okay, so can is a state of possibility. I can run. It is possible for me to run. I will run denotes a state of occurring in the future. So I'm not running right now, but I will run sometime in the future. I must run. This shows a state of necessity. Okay, I don't have a choice. I must run. Okay, so with that, I think that's, like I said, we're going to talk a lot more about action and state verbs and how they're used. And I think as we go more and more into it, uh, it'll become a lot more intuitive what we mean by action or state. But again, just to finish off, um, verbs are very important because every sentence has to have a verb. There's no getting around it. If it doesn't have a verb, it's not a sentence. So we're going to see verbs everywhere. If it doesn't have a verb, then we're not talking about a full sentence. So with that, I will um, stop here. Oh, by the way, did I mention that you have to have a verb in a sentence? Okay, I think I've beat that one to death, but it's something that's important and you can't forget it. Okay, so, but I am going to stop here and I will talk to you later.